And welcome everybody. Hey, we are live and it is March 1st, 2022. And that means we have our online curriculum fair going on all the month of March with, I believe we have even more this year. I think like 74, 75 exhibitors, more speakers, more pretty much everything. And all throughout the month of March, all throughout the month of March, we're going to be speaking with some of our exhibitors and just chatting with them, getting to know them a little bit more. Some you'll have seen before and are been around the homeschool arena for quite some time, just like the one we're going to get ready to speak with here in a little bit. And some that are going to be brand new and you might not have ever seen. So thank you for being a part of Homeschool Connect Expo. We really appreciate you letting everybody know what's going on, what's happening. It's been a really fun time and a really nice time to get to know everybody. And even in this world that we're living in, the homeschool community is growing, and we need to kind of connect together. And so, today we have Dr. Jan Bedell, Brain Sprints. This is one of my interviews I'd love to have, and we actually, I believe we have multiple times during the month of March here that I'm going to be speaking with her and talking in depth into bits and pieces of what she does and how she can help, your homeschoolers out there. So, if you haven't been on the online curriculum fair, jump on there. It's super easy to go to. I'll show you how to get on there. This is the page, the front page that we have. Go to Homeschool Connect Expo, scroll down a little bit, and right there you jump right in. And then all of a sudden you start seeing everybody that we have, all the exhibitors, and then down below we have the speakers and what they're talking about. But today, Brain Sprints, go out, check out their listing here, their booth. There's all kinds of cool things that they have, along with the link out to their website. And we're going to get into more details. I believe we got Jan on here. Now let's bring her in and let's start chatting. Hey, Dr. Jan, how are you doing today?
Hey, Sam. It's so great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you for being a part of this. I know we are having some technical difficulties, but it looks like we have it all in control now. But this is one of the interviews every time we come around the curriculum fair and different things. I'd love to chat with you because there's so many really cool things that you have to offer homeschoolers and homeschool parents that try to help their kids learn in different ways. And so, why don't you, for the people who don't know who you are, because there's quite a bit of new homeschoolers out there, why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Okay. Well, it's great to be here. I know that there's so many new homeschoolers, and so it's so great to have this resource that you provide through the Homeschool Connect. It's just terrific for them to be able to go on at their convenience and look and see all the different options. When I started homeschooling many, many years ago, I'm afraid to say how many years ago it was. I think it was about 30 years ago. There weren't very many resources. So those coming in now are very fortunate. And then all this kind of technology that you're providing is just so great. Um, oh, my light went off.
Yeah.
Um, my computer didn't like not being like being on. Okay, so now it just turned the light off. So just a little bit about me. I let's see. That good?
Yeah.
Okay. So many years ago, I had a child with learning challenges, and so I was researching that. That's how I got into homeschooling, was um, things for her. And then I homeschool my other daughter as well. And so over the years, I have found resources that helped her so much, called the neurodevelopmental approach. And boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, that's like how to help your brain work the most efficient. We have computers, and just like we found out this morning, I have a great little computer here, but if it's connected to like DSL, like what we have out here in the country, it doesn't work too well. And then, of course, your phones, they don't work under metal roofs, so we had to make that adjustment. But that's basically, when you're used to your phone working, your computer working at a good speed when it's connected to high-speed internet. If it's connected to something less efficient, the production goes way down. And that's the same thing that happens with your brain. If your brain is really organized and went through all the developmental steps, then it works more like being on the freeway instead of on a bumpy dirt road. So what we've learned over the time is helping to make learning more efficient in less time. And boy, is that something that homeschoolers really need, is efficiency, because they have so much that they have to cover. I just admire homeschoolers so much because they have a lot to juggle. And so we love just providing things that make things easier.
Okay. Yeah. And I love how you brought that around from the internet issues to really what's happening in their brain, to kind of go through. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and you go through. So I know you have like three keys to good input when it comes to not only math but learning in general, and
Mhm.
then the but kind of specifically on math, because I know that's a level of frustration, that I had one child that just math just was not it for her. The and the other two got it. It clicked. It was high speed internet, so just all the way, But we had some struggles with math, and it just bogs you down. And I know for her, she could get it. She's very smart, but she had just the inputs, the things were some of the blocks, and it just made her feel bad, and
Right.
that negativity just went through her entire life, the of not being able to get math as well. And so I know you have some great inputs that you talk about and do about math, but is there any couple of key things that you always tell people about math in general, or how math works in people's brains?
Yeah, I'd love to share that. First, I'd like to just kind of lay the groundwork of math from our perspective being in three different kinds of um, cycles, or three different categories, I guess you would say. One is the math process, which I think we're going to talk about on another interview, but that's like, what is addition? What is subtraction? What does multiplication mean? What is the concept? So, concept is one area. And then word problems is another area that's really, I mean, obviously it's related because it's math, but it takes some other kinds of input. And I don't know if we're scheduled to talk about that. Hopefully we are, because when your brain is working for processing, holding pieces of information together, that's what's necessary for the word problem. So, of course, you need to know what operations mean, the concept, before you can do a word problem, but you also need that processing ability to hold those pieces to know what operation am I going to do and what's important here in this word problem. So some kids, if they have low auditory processing, they get bogged down in the word problems. And then the other aspect of math is math facts. And that, when I talk about math facts, that's just like knowing those simple little math problems instantly. They just come to your mind. You say 6 plus 2, and you know it's 8. That's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But some curriculums say, well, don't move on to subtraction until they know all their math facts. Well, I disagree with that because the children can do subtraction. They can understand with the right kind of method, they can understand what subtraction is and even multiplication and division before those math facts are solid. So we see those things as 3 separate areas to work on in math. And as far as math, the math facts, you brought up the 3 keys that we talk about, and the math fact system that we use is just exactly that. It's using those 3 keys. We call it FID for short. Everything's got the acronym these days. So F stands for frequency. I stands for intensity, and D is for duration. So with this math fact system, the frequency is 14 times a day that they see, hear, say, and write 5 math facts. And it only takes 6 minutes. That's part of the intensity, because it's very short amounts of time, and you do that like 4 different times in the day. So one time they're just going to be listening to these math facts repeated with different voices and different kinds of intensity to make their listening they stay with it. So in other words, if you're going to listen to math facts for 2 minutes, in about 30 seconds, your brain's going to turn off and go on to something else. But in this system, we put in fun things along the way. Like all of a sudden we might say, now say the word banana. And the child's going, what? I was just listening to math facts and now somebody's saying this weird thing about saying banana. So what that does is perk the brain to go, oh, I need to be paying attention. So then you go back into the math facts. So you've got that intensity along the way, as well as like a male voice, a female voice, just in case they can hear better with a, oops, lost my headset. In case they can fit, do better with a lower tone of voice or a higher tone, which would be a woman. And so that happens for 2 minutes. They can do that on their own. They just plug in and listen to that. And then there's a couple of times they see the math facts with the answer on there. Now, this is very different than most people do. I don't know if you tried this with your daughter, but the math facts cards, and it says 6 plus 2. And that's all it says.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to get that out of their brain. Well, what we found is if it's not in there, it's not going to come out too easy. So we put it in with the answer on the card. So for a minute, you're seeing these 5 facts like 3 or 4 times, and you're getting that visual. So this is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. In the next input that they get, they can do on their own too, where they have a piece of paper with the math facts written on it, but it's not in the same order that it's called out. So the intensity for that is they have to listen carefully, find it on the page, and then write the answer that they were just told. So they got just more input. The keys are getting input with frequency, oftentimes during the day, intensity, that strong information and, kind of surprising. And then each duration is only 1 to 2 minutes. So a total of 6 minutes of input each day really solidifies those math facts. At the end of the week, when they do their speed drill, which is the practice of everything they've learned up to that point, then they are just zooming through. I've had people with typical developing kids and people with kids that are struggling use this system, and it really works so well. I've had some moms say, my child hated math before this, and now, because it's all input instead of expecting things to come out all the time, then they said, I just love math.
Yeah.
So I've had a big mouthful there. So I just like for you, since you're listening to it, to let me know what holes I need to fill in for understanding of this.
Yeah, I love how you do that because it makes sense. Some of the ways of teaching, in schools and what we think we should be teaching are just it's off a little bit. And I love you have that, and uh, you spoke about confidence, and I think overall that confident bleeds out into other parts and to give them the confidence to keep moving and growing, and keep learning and where they love learning instead of it's something have to be a chore. I think that's the biggest thing that brain sprints to me looking in. I love because you're giving the kids confidence,
Yeah.
and that goes to all different parts of them learning. So I love that. The What are some of the best ways to get some of these math facts um, into a child, or in where, or how do parents kind of get involved in brain sprints and utilizing what you've all put together, so they don't have to try to recreate it. It's already right there.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of homeschoolers don't have a lot of time to create stuff. So the product is called Rapid Recall System, and it is if they go to I don't know if you can put links in
Yeah.
this kind of situation, but there's a couple of links for us to use to get like a free math facts assessment. So if you go to the top navigation bar
Hmm.
and you look at I think it's the second tab over services, the
Services or
math,
products.
yeah, I think it's under services.
Okay.
Math facts assessment, do you see that? Or
The
math facts proficiency.
Yeah, under products.
Under products. Okay.
Under products, math
Um,
efficiency.
math facts efficiency. Yes. And on there, there is a free resource for your listeners that they can actually test their child for their math facts. And there's a video there that tells how the rapid recall works. That's the one on the left that you can see there. And then down below that, they can download the free assessment so that they can see if they have a third grader, how fast should they be doing their math facts? And if they have a sixth grader or a first grader, kind of what the expectation is in a 1 minute or a 2 minute kind of speed drill to see if they're kind of on track or not.
Okay.
So that's a resource there. And then where it says the results, we
Hmm.
did some research in a school where we tested all four groups of children. Yeah, you can see it there. I didn't know you could bring that up. That's great. You see the little blue, the dark blue at the bottom
Hmm.
of that chart? These are first graders that we tested to begin with to see how their math facts were. And they all tested about the same. at the beginning of the year. And this school, obviously, all 4 classes use the same state adopted curriculum. So they use the same curriculum for math, but the one on the right added the rapid recall to their program. And you can see we had some first graders that could do 70 math facts in 3 minutes, correct.
Wow.
It was pretty amazing. And then if you scroll up, you can see the subtraction. Um, just one slide up. Yeah, there you go. I mean, obviously these first graders had not been introduced to subtraction, so maybe they had one or two that they could do. But again, same curriculum, and they used the addition and subtraction in their first grade class, and this was the average of the class. What was interesting to me is that they had some children that were classified 504 or at risk in this classroom too. And this teacher, she had been teaching first grade for at 17 years up to this point before she added this. And this isn't the only neurodevelopment that she added to her classroom, but it was a curriculum that she added. And she said, I have never in my life seen first graders um, be anxious to take a test. I mean, not anxious in a bad way, but wanting to take a test because they knew their math facts. And she said their math curriculum went so much better because they knew their facts, and so the children weren't struggling as much. And she said I was there one day observing, and they had already done the speed drill part of their, which is all output. They're having to put the answers on there. And after they had done part of the input, the speed drill was on the back, and some of them said, "Can we do this too?" And they flipped it over and they just started working on it. She said, "Never in my 17 years have I seen first graders wanting more math."
Wow. That
That
is
was
amazing. That is
it,
amazing.
it was really exciting to see their energy and, like what you were saying, their confidence. Oftentimes, if they're struggling in something, they just internalize it as there's something wrong with me
Yeah.
because mom thinks I should have this, and I don't. But it really gives them that confidence that you were talking about.
Mm. Wow. And it flows over through their whole life and the different subjects, and because they don't have that almost penalty that they're expecting
Mhm.
to test, and when you have that, you just don't want to. It becomes a chore instead of something that's beautiful, and to learn and to keep growing. And and kids are smart. They know. I really believe they know and understand when they have been um, at risk or been at risk or something that between bullying and everything else inside schools is amazing. And for the homeschoolers, what you would see is they just feel like there's something wrong, like you said, with them, and it's sometimes hard to get them out of that. Let them understand um, that they are smart, that they can get this. And there's a
Right.
few little tweaks. These are just added little things that makes sense. I was watching videos of yours, and you talk about how would you learn piano, and and trying to put it into different aspects where people could understand what you're doing is tried and true of being able to teach things, and specifically math and reading and writing and those different things. And so yeah.
Yeah, I think that one thing that your audience needs to understand is there's been a misconception that children should be on their own with their curriculum so early.
Yeah.
Somet Sometimes we expect output way too soon. And so our whole philosophy of input, input, input is really works well to make things move smoothly in your homeschool. So just think about that. If you don't like the output that you're getting from your child, or if they're sitting there for an hour, they're in third grade and they're sitting there for an hour trying to do their math, the intensity is gone at that point.
Yeah.
There is no intensity. So I think on another uh, curriculum um, talk that we're going to do, we'll talk more about the other areas that we talked about here, the concepts, and then the word problems as well. So that will fill in the blanks for people as in that aspect too. And you did mention the videos, so I think I do have some videos there that people can watch and get a little more information about our whole approach. And then there's some that are specifically about math as well
Okay.
that are
The
on your site.
Yeah, yeah, and everybody go out to Homeschool Connect Expo, jump into the curriculum fair, see all the things, jump on Brain Sprints, and has a ton of videos and information and links out to everything we spoke about to make it super easy. And then check out their website and just see all of the information that Dr. Jan's put together, to help. And social media. You're on pretty much everything now. The Facebook and Instagram, I believe, right? And then that's where you stick more information out that people need to jump on and be a part of.
Yes, yes. We're trying to get the word out to we have things because everybody's brain can work better, but we also provide a lot of resources for families that have children that are struggling or that are labeled or that have syndromes or all the different kinds of challenges. So yes, there's lots of information out there.
All right, and then did I read somewhere you're having an event or you're a part of something? Did I read?
Uh, well, we try to get out there to, the different homeschool conventions and stuff that are close by. We are in Texas, but we do work virtually through Zoom. That's one thing that is a benefit from the COVID is we were able to adapt to virtual kinds of evaluations and things like that. So those can be done anywhere. I'm actually working with a group in Uganda right now, which is very exciting to see what's happening there.
Yeah. Well, great. The Everybody jump out, get out there, and Brain Sprints has the free consultation. Go and um, it's not going to hurt. Go out there, see the evaluation, and see what they have to offer your kids, and to really, I truly believe this will help parents and their kids, uh, you know, especially during math time, not to have that struggle. That was one thing that I had with my daughter, and it carried on part of our relationship because we had that struggle during math.
Mm.
It came so easy to me, and I couldn't understand her brain, and I wish I had this the because it would have helped have helped our relationship on how
Yes,
much it
and
would help her, so
that brings up a good point, Sam. Just to, I know we're out of time here, but just that parents, if they're equipped, they are the best people to work with their children that are struggling. A lot of times they feel inept about being able to work with their child that's struggling. Isn't that for the professionals? Well, I can tell you, you'll get more done and take your child a much further way if you're just equipped with what to do to how to help their brain work better.
Yes. And we will be speaking, I think, multiple times during the month of March. I absolutely look forward to our times and to let everybody know more about what you do and your systems that you have. And so I'm totally looking forward. I love March for this reason. We get to speak. Yeah, I love going in. I love seeing my calendar when it pops up and you're on it. So thank you so much for what you do and all the people that you've helped. And I know that's a huge thing that homeschoolers, that I've spoken with love your system and love just what you have done for their family and for their kids. So thank you so much for doing what you do. It is very much appreciated. And I can't wait to I think it's next week we chat again. So everybody go
Looking
out and take a look at Brain Sprints there on Homeschool Connect Expo. All
Great
right.
to be with you. Great to share.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
All right. Bye.